2023 was an exciting year for Jiu-Jitsu. A lot of new trends, drama, and upsets. So today, we're going to be talking about everything that's happened this year, from lawsuits to steroid bans. If you've heard any of these things already, there's timestamps in the description. So let's get on to the first thing. Mark Zuckerberg actually ended up winning a jiu-jitsu competition this year, and a fight between him and Elon Musk started getting hyped up. However, Mark Zuckerberg ended up hurting his knee in classic jiu-jitsu fashion, and the fight doesn't seem to be happening anytime soon.
Yeah, there's no way this is checking out.
Do you think so?
Yeah. Fuck.
Speaking of injuries, another unfortunate thing that ended up blowing up this year was of Ethan Krelsen's brother having his knee exploded when he was pressured to have a super fight against a more experienced girl, which people on Reddit were pretty mad about.
I had a younger brother. No woman would break his leg.
Also in the hot water this year was Mica Galvao. Ended up getting banned from the IBJJF because they saw traces of Clomid, a banned substance that steroid users often take after their cycle.
What is the likelihood that a doctor is going to prescribe an 18 or 19-year-old this drug, clomiphene?
Extremely low.
Not only this, but he also got stripped of the world title that he won this year. All this is pretty concerning, being that he was only 18 years old when he won. But at least he hit a sick armbar this year.
There's that arm lock.
Oh, beautiful flying armbar attempt by Mica Galvao.
But the bans didn't end there.
The biggest drug bust in jiu-jitsu history. 5 athletes tested positive.
After the Jiu-Jitsu World Championship, they were banned for a variety of substances, from TRT to Tren. The funny thing about this is that the two most high-profile athletes who took a ban, Wagner and Cyborg, both tried to avoid the test by saying they had a flight to catch and didn't appear on the podium. But USADA ended up coming to their gym to administer the test, and Wagner just refused to take a test, and Cyborg ended up testing positive for TRT, thus causing them both to take a 3-year ban from the IBJJF. Another big source of drama that bled into this year was the match between Gordon Ryan and Nicky Rod. Nicky Rod was a late replacement for this match, and he ended up breaking Gordon Ryan's foot, and the match went to overtime, in which Gordon was able to pull away with the win. That was the end of the match, but the drama kept going. Gordon Ryan accused Nicky Rod of greasing.
He was definitely lotioned, and the lotion came out. I was like, yep.
And using steroids. And he also admitted to using them himself.
Steroids are not illegal in jiu-jitsu.
After this, More Plates, More Dates ended up testing Nicky Rod.
So here we have an 843 nanogram per deciliter total test level, which is the number we all wanted to see. That's pretty good. Yeah, top end of normal.
Which doesn't 100% mean that he's never taken steroids. However, it definitely means that he wasn't on a cycle during his match against Gordon Ryan. Additionally, B Team, the gym Nicky Rod trains at, ran with the greasing joke.
Grease check like 15 minutes before my match, and I asked him, I was like, is everybody else getting checked as well? And they were like, yeah, for sure.
Which was pretty funny. This was the start of a wave of trolling by B Team and Craig Jones, which at this point has caused Gordon to just shut off comments on his most recent post about them. Now, after this match with Nicky Rod, Gordon Ryan was supposed to have his rematch against Felipe Pena, someone who's beaten him before. However, it ended up getting canceled because Gordon Ryan got a bad case of strep throat, which caused him to have to go on more antibiotics. And something about Gordon Ryan is that he has horrible stomach issues, and these antibiotics just made it worse. So bad that he ended up not being able to compete for months and months of this year. Changing gears, let's talk about the $46 million lawsuit. Jack Green, a jiu-jitsu white belt, ended up getting paralyzed by his coach when he was performing a rolling back take. At first, he was paralyzed in all his limbs, but he's since regained the ability to walk. In this case, Kron Gracie gave a testimony against the gym owner, which many disagreed with. First off, he made claims as industry standard for novices and advanced practitioners to be separated for a significant amount of time, which from my experience, and I think a lot of us in the community can say, isn't the case. Mixed level classes are pretty common. Additionally, he said the rolling back take that the coach performed was dangerous.
Grip he utilized disabled Mr. Greener's left arm, that he lost control of Mr. Greener's head and neck, and that he had no control over himself.
Which is true. However, I feel like the dangers of this move weren't really talked about in the community much. The John Danaher video about banned and dangerous techniques was kind of the gold standard when it comes to which techniques to avoid. However, even in that video, the rolling back take wasn't talked about. Additionally, I couldn't find it banned by the IBJJF either. The coach also did the move differently than it's usually taught. Jack's arm was trapped, as opposed to the seatbelt, which gives him the ability to put his head the wrong way, which ended up causing the paralysis. But this whole case ended up shaking the jiu-jitsu community. Many thought this would change the way all jiu-jitsu gyms are run, stopping rolling to avoid lawsuits. Thankfully, we haven't seen that happen yet. An L for jiu-jitsu this year was Kron Gracie in the UFC. He had his first match after years of not competing. It did not go amazing. He insisted on playing guard the whole match, and it ended up just being a one-sided beating. However, Charles Oliveira, Jiu-Jitsu's #1 representative in the UFC, ended up getting a win this year, and there was also a bunch of 6 submissions in the organization. But the W for the Jiu-Jitsu community this year is X Martial, the sponsor of this video. They're a jiu-jitsu clothing brand, and this year they sponsored over 300 athletes and gave away $10,000 worth of gear to the community. We only get $50K for winning the biggest tournament in grappling that happens every 2 years, so sponsors like X Martial are necessary for athletes trying to make a living. They have high quality gear on their website, so whether you're looking for shorts, spats, or rash guards, they're the place to go. They always have amazing deals as well, and you can make them even better by using code JOSHRICH for 10% off. But let's talk about ADCC Trials. ADCC is the biggest tournament in no-gi grappling, and the trials for it happened this year, and there were a lot of upsets. First off, Joseph Chen, someone who's only been grappling for about 5 years, ended up beating some high-level names like Oliver Taza and Tommy Langacker. He basically proved that instructionals work, since that's the main way he was learning jiu-jitsu these 5 years, and really sped up his progress, which I can also personally attest to. Instructionals are pretty awesome. Nicky Ryan, who's been to ADCC 3 times, ended up being upset by the new up-and-comer Elijah Dorsey in the 77 kg division. He was outclassed in the wrestling, and it kind of showed a new trend that ADCC is going to. There were a lot of high-level wrestlers, especially in the lower weight classes, who were able to dominate and win despite having, maybe less experience in the jiu-jitsu. One example of this was Dorian Olivares. He's primarily a wrestler and only in high school. However, he was able to enter ADCC, dominate, and get the gold. But while this trend of wrestling being so powerful was definitely the case in the lower weight classes, we also saw guard play and traditional jiu-jitsu. For example, J-Rod, a high-level wrestler, ended up being submitted by Jacob Couch. J-Rod's a high-level wrestler, so it definitely showed that, it's not so one-dimensional where just because you have great wrestling, you can win ADCC. Nicholas Meregali also had an amazing year. He ended up being ADCC champions like Felipe Pena and Kainan Duarte, which is crazy to see since he's only been training no-gi for about a year now at this point. Speaking of New Wave and that whole team, Gordon was also supposed to have 2 more matches this year against Victor Hugo and Mason Fowler. However, he popped his rib and was not able to compete, which just caused more roasting from B Team.
I'm here today to make a formal apology for making light of Gordon Ryan's stomach condition.
And I think this was the last straw when it came to Gordon Ryan just completely shutting down and not wanting to speak about B Team anymore.
Unlike the B Team guys who just need to have my name in their mouth because they don't win and they need to build a career off of my sound bites.
Which is kind of unfortunate. The back and forth is pretty entertaining. But something I do want to point out about Gordon is that everyone's saying that the steroids is making him look like a 50-year-old man, which is kind of what I thought too. But now that he's shaved, he generally does look 27, which is his actual age. But to stop talking about Gordon for a second, Leon Davies and Diego Pato both won the no-gi and gi world championships this year, which is really impressive to see, being able to dominate in both versions of jiu-jitsu. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe. Can't wait to see what will happen in 2024 this year, and I'll see you next time.